While mortgage rates have been trending lower, Americans are not ready to jump into home ownership. Among renters who intend to move within the next year, 59% plan to continue renting. That's according to a recent Zillow report. But is that the best move? Well, here to examine the housing landscape, we welcome in now Zillow Group home trends expert Amanda Pendleton. Amanda, it is good to see you. I want to start here, Amanda. You say it now takes the average homeowner 7 to 9 years for owning to make more financial sense than renting. Let's stop there. What do you mean by that, Amanda? More financial sense?
Yeah, so this is the buy, rent, break even point, the point at which it does make more financial sense for you to buy than to rent. And that really takes into account a combination of factors. So of course, there's mortgage interest rates. So how much of your monthly payment is going to interest versus principal? And of course, like rent, that just disappears. You're never seeing that again. And then there's home value appreciation. And right now, home values are pretty flat and they're expected to rise at less than 2% year over year by next summer. We also look at rent price growth. So how quickly are rents growing? And then of course, opportunity cost. How much could your down payment appreciate if it were invested in the stock market versus in the housing market? And it really is the combination of those factors that makes it say, okay, the break-even horizon is so much longer than it was prior to the pandemic.
Some of the regional differences you point out, Amanda, are also really interesting. This struck me. Cities like New York or San Francisco, it can now take 15 to 20 years to break even on buying. Did I see that right?
Yeah, it's absolutely wild. So you're right. Nationwide, 7 to 9 years is the break-even time horizon for where it makes more sense for you to buy than to rent. But in those really expensive coastal metros, in New York City, in San Francisco, you're looking at 15 to 20 years of staying in the same place before it makes it more financial beneficial for you to have purchased that home than to rent that home. Now, in more affordable metro areas like a Memphis or a St. Louis, you're looking at 3 to 4 years before you break even on a home. But just for perspective, compare that to prior to the pandemic, and the buy, rent, break even point then was 2 to 3 years nationwide. So it was an absolute slam dunk to buy versus to rent. That calculus has really changed.
So you would argue, Amanda, correct me if I have this wrong, that renting then right now could be, rather than sort of a temporary step to eventual home ownership, are you arguing it could be actually a smart, long-term financial option for viewers who are watching this?
Yeah, so what we're seeing now is this rise of the lifestyle renter, right? These are people who could afford to buy but are choosing to rent because they want the flexibility and the freedom and the ease that comes with renting. Look, I think the decision to rent or buy is really personal, and it does come down to two things. It's who you are, and it's how long do you plan to stay somewhere? And the who you are question is that lifestyle question. Do you value flexibility? Do you not want to have to do yard work every single weekend? Or do you want that backyard garden and you want a menagerie of animals, right? Those lifestyle choices are going to be as, if not more important than the financial questions right now.
Amanda, let's say there's a viewer watching this though, and they're listening to this, but you know what? At the end of the day, their dream is still owning a home. What would be your advice to that viewer, Amanda? Would you say, hey, focus on smaller markets, focus on a smaller home, shop around for a mortgage, maybe wait for a bit? What would be your guidance?
Yeah, look, home ownership absolutely has a lot of benefits in this country, right? You've got wealth building. You invest that 20%, you get equity on 100% of your home's value. There's tax benefits too, right? And you get that stable housing payment for the next 30 years. So there's a lot of great things that come with buying as long as you plan to stay somewhere for a while. So I would say, number one, you got to get your financial ducks in a row, right? You got to improve your credit. You got to improve your debt to income ratio, boost your savings. This will all help you land a better interest rate. So those monthly payments are going to be lower. And then figure out what you can really afford. And there's a lot of great tools out there. We've got one on Zillow called Buyability. It's on the app, shows you exactly what you can afford on a monthly basis. And then you can shop by your buyability. So you're only seeing the homes that you can actually pay for. for. And then finally, I'd recommend forming a team of experts, right? You got to have a great agent, a great loan officer on your side to give you a competitive advantage, and make sure that you're ending up in a place that you truly can afford for the long term, and that's going to work for you and your family for the long term.
Amanda, on here, guys, you're looking at 2026. A lot of the trends you're highlighting here, Amanda, do you expect them to persist, or might we see some changes in the trends and themes? For example, investors certainly expect the Fed to cut, Amanda. How does that play into this dynamic?
Look, I think any kind of cuts in mortgage rates, any reduction in prices is going to help affordability, and that's going to be a good thing. That's going to bring more buyers to the market. That's going to make home ownership more affordable for more people, and it's going to shrink that buy, rent, break even time horizon. That said, you mentioned this off the top, that we're seeing nearly 60% of all renters plan to continue renting next year. And we asked them, if mortgage rates were to come down dramatically, would you still be renting? Only 37% of people said even if mortgage rates came down, they would buy a home. So we're still seeing a lot of people in the rental market who plan to stay in the rental market for the long term. And a big part of that is the lifestyle reasons that we talked about.